What is up, everybody? Welcome to the Wild Nutrition Podcast. I'm your host, Chris Heskett, and we are here with another episode. So, of course, my dog's in the background. I don't know if you heard that, but so today, as we're ramping up for level 2 of the Prime program, so open enrollment's going to start soon. If you are interested in that, you can send me a message on Instagram or message Aaron, email Aaron, join the Facebook group. That's going to be the best bet. Commit to Fit Facebook group. You can message all of us there. So if you're now on Instagram, Facebook group would be the best bet. Or you can message me on Instagram about it. But we're ramping up. So the goal of the group and kind of today's topic is going to be a little bit more advanced. But the goal when we did the modules for everything is to give people the education needed to be able to go off on their own and be able to do things to the point of like the next step is going to basically get like a nutrition certification, personal training certification. Like we get you to that point as like at that point, if you want to go further, you might as well just go get a certification. So Prime Level 1 is kind of building the basics. And then Prime Level 2, which is going to be kicking off soon for a lot of the people who just finished up, they are going to get access to that. And that's going to be more advanced stuff. It's going to be micronutrients, different dietary protocols and when to implement them. And a lot of really cool things, a little bit more advanced mindset stuff, learning about periodization, things that the first 12 weeks, it's more like getting the basics down. And after the 12 weeks, it's like your basics are down as long as you've been doing everything. So now we can take things to that next level. And then like after that, it's like, okay, if you want to continue, like you got to go off and like actually get a nutrition certification. And at that point, just become a nutrition coach. So I'm super excited to build that out with Aaron. So we are at the point now where, this podcast. So we're about to start recording. I think we're recording today, same day I'm recording this podcast. So I want to talk to you guys about micronutrients, which are vitamins and minerals. So vitamins, minerals, a little bit about antioxidants. Probably going to sneak those into the Prime Level 2 as well in one of the units. So the reason I want to talk about that is with the carnivore, it's been a big talk of bioavailability and nutrient density for better and for worse. I think there's a lot of truth to it, but it's kind of like half truths and it's downplaying some of the other stuff. So when we're talking vitamins and minerals, obviously you probably already understand like there's all the B vitamins, vitamin C, the fat soluble vitamins A, D, E, and K. You have minerals like calcium, magnesium, zinc, iron, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And we need to get a certain amount each day. And the goal is, we want to hit like the RDA 100% for each of them, but it can be tricky. It can be hard to do that. And that's where a supplement can come in handy. So when I'm evaluating people's diets, I'm looking at diets, including myself, a lot of times you'll find that you will have one or two nutrients you tend to be low in on a consistent basis. For a lot of people, this is magnesium, and that's where a magnesium supplement can be very helpful, but not everyone. I thought I was going to be deficient in magnesium with my diet. I tend to get enough magnesium. But where I do tend to be a little deficient is folate. I tend to get a little low on folate, and that has issues. So I track that through Chronometer, and this is where I would recommend, like, if you're trying to like really improve your health, if we're not getting the nutrient requirements for our vitamins and minerals, you're not going to optimize your health. So we want to make sure that we're getting close to, you don't have to be perfect every single day, but close to that RDA every single day as best you can, and then use supplements to help fill in the gaps. And this might be a true multivitamin for you if it's like hit or miss here or there, or if you are always deficient in certain things. Say you have certain food allergies that limit your intake. You're always deficient, and over a couple months you've tracked it and you're like, I need to supplement with just a folate supplement. I need to supplement with just a magnesium supplement or a calcium supplement, something like that. That's where, instead of spending money on a more expensive multivitamin, you can save money and get something cheaper like a calcium. But I would recommend, if you're starting this, get a multivitamin. The one I'm using is the Legion multivitamin right now. It's on par with the Seeking Health. You can find both discount codes both down in the show notes, a little promo there. I do make money off of those, but it's like pennies. Actually, I don't make any money on the Legion. They just send me free stuff, but I wouldn't use them if I didn't like them. So it's a methylated version of most of your B vitamins, which tend to be a little bit better than some of the cheaper alternatives. But how do I evaluate when we're looking at diet? How do we evaluate? How do we figure out where we're deficient? Because I've had people on paper, if you're looking on paper, you're like, oh, my diet's super healthy. I've had clients in the past on paper, super healthy diet. And then you look, and like one person I remember vividly, if you look super fit, really strong, in shape, she's like mom at that time, like in her early 40s. She was like, for a lot of you, what like the epitome of fitness. She had a couple pounds she wanted to lose, but she didn't really need to lose weight. So like it was like vanity weight loss. But when we evaluated her diet, she was only getting like 30% of the RDA and vitamin C. It's like, that's a massive red flag. It's like, how does that happen? And ended up just all the food she was eating was low in vitamin C. And we know vitamin C is important for your immune system, but it's also important in collagen formation. So being low in that, she might look like she's aging a little prematurely. If done long term, you risk obviously having a weak immune system, and it's an antioxidant, so oxidative damage can occur over time. So we obviously want to get vitamin C up, and this might be that if she's unwilling to change the diet or add things in, then we need to supplement. But you can pinpoint it when you do something like that. So this is what I would recommend when we're talking about micronutrients: is use Chronometer. Track your own diet, see what you're deficient in. Don't just like throw vitamins at the wall. Like, oh, I heard Gary Brecka said methylfolate. Well, I guess I'm going to supplement with that. Now, the multivitamin I use does have methylfolate in it, but if you don't need it, say, so folate's found in a lot of leafy greens. If you eat a lot of dark leafy greens in your diet, through whether it's some herbs, which I think have a decent amount, like basil season right now in summer, but kale, Swiss chard, salad greens, they tend to be a good source of folate. So if you eat a lot of that, then you don't necessarily need to supplement with it, despite what others have said. If you are lactose intolerant, you don't really eat like plant-based yogurts or other things, like you don't really eat dairy, you might be deficient in calcium, in which case we might want to come in with a calcium supplement. But this is just figuring out the basics. What you've probably seen online is a lot about, especially with carnivore community, bioavailability. And what that means is, how easy is it for your body to absorb the micronutrients from said food? So I wanted to dive into this a little bit a couple weeks ago. So we know like the iron in spinach is only like, you only absorb about 10%. There's oxalates in there, which inhibit the absorption. But there are things you can do to inhibit oxalates, like cooking it in an acid, frees up more of that iron. But when you look at the packaging and it says this serving of spinach contains 10% of your iron, what they've done in research is there's more iron in that spinach. And this is, I'm pretty sure I'm correct here. The iron that's in that spinach and put on the package is what you will absorb. So there's more iron than that in there, but in general, you're going to absorb that much. It's not, oh, well, there's that much in there and you're only going to absorb 10% of that. That's what a lot of people want to say, but that's not actually like what they've tested. Because usually they're going to test a food before you eat it. Here's how much iron's in it. And they test what's coming out the other end. Since you don't absorb it, it comes out the other side. So you can test, okay, starting, ending, here's that. So how much iron did the body actually absorb. We can also test blood levels and see iron concentrations go up, and that's just one example. The other issue with talking about bioavailability is, while yes, say animal products tend to be more bioavailable, they tend to kind of have the same nutrients over and over. So you'll hear this from guys just eating tons of steak, like, oh, these are the most bioavailable nutrients. And it's really good, except for like folate, vitamin C, vitamin A, vitamin E. It's not good sources of that. So it doesn't matter if you ate 2 pounds of that, 3 pounds of that, it's not good sources. So you're going to be deficient in that. And the other issue is with foods that are very high in certain nutrients, there are certain things that you can get toxicity levels of. For example, the big thing you're going to start to probably see come out of the carnivore community is high iron levels, hemochromatosis. Because these guys are just eating so much iron in their diet. And so women don't have to worry because obviously you bleed like once a month. But for guys, it's easy for those levels to get up to a toxic level and start to cause a lot of issues. It also inhibits copper absorption. So there's a play there. Certain nutrients like iron will, if you eat too much, it can inhibit absorption. If you eat certain combinations, so like iron, calcium, and magnesium, I believe it's those three, but definitely calcium and magnesium kind of use the same transporters in your small intestine. So if you eat two foods very high in both those things, you can't absorb all of it because it's going to pass through. And while it's absorbing calcium, it can't absorb the magnesium and vice versa. So you're only going to get partial amounts. And this is where nutrition gets more nuanced and less black and white, like you see on social media of like 5 best foods, most bioavailable foods, do these things. There's also, when it comes to fat soluble vitamins, and I have another podcast coming up, so this is going to be a short episode. When it comes to some of these vitamins, there's multiple forms. Vitamin E, I believe there's 6 different forms of it. With vitamin A, most people think of carrots, which is beta carotene, but all the carotenoids, there's many different carotenoids. They all need to be converted into retinol, which you can get through animal sources like full fat dairy, liver, etc. You can get retinol in your diet, and a lot of people should get some retinol in their diet. Vitamin A needs fat to be absorbed. So it's fat soluble. So you need to eat that. So if you're just eating carrots as is, you're not going to really absorb much of that. And then, so people will say, well, retinol is more bioavailable. It's what your body uses. There's no conversion. You should just do that. But we do know that beta carotene and the other carotenoids also act as antioxidants and help protect the body from oxidative stress. So it's not just that you should eat only retinol, just eat the form your body will use. No, these other forms also have other benefits. So you should also be eating those if you have an issue and potentially have a retinol deficiency. Maybe we need to also eat some retinol in your diet. So the point here being, when it comes to micronutrients, we want to take a look at your diet and see what you are actually deficient in and what do you do well in. Like if you eat a lot of red meat and you're getting a ton of B12, you don't need a B12 supplement. If you're getting all your B vitamins, like I'll be honest, red meat will cover a lot of your B vitamins in a single serving. So you don't necessarily need a B vitamin supplement, even though it says it promotes energy. What you should do is see where you're deficient. For me, that's usually folate, tends to be a little bit low. I don't do really well with a ton of leafy greens in my diet, so that's one of the best sources. I can use liver, I can use other things, but we also don't want to create toxicity of going overboard, because getting too much doesn't necessarily help and can actually be detrimental in the long run too. So there's a balance. Like we only need so much, and more isn't necessarily better unless your genetics deem you to need more, in which case you're only going to find that out through some testing. For example, myself with my BCL1 SMP, it inhibits the conversion of beta carotene into retinol. So I do need some retinol in my diet. I feel better with that. I need more choline in my diet than the average person, about double. I feel better when I have foods high in choline. But I've done the testing. I can confirm that it's not a guessing game for me. So, anyways, I have a podcast coming up in 2 minutes. I need to jump off here. So if you have questions about this, you want to learn more, please let me know. You can comment on YouTube. You can comment on Spotify. Let me know. I do see those. I look at that stuff weekly. You can also send me a message on Instagram. Again, we're going to go into more detail in the Prime 2 module. So if you are interested in joining Prime, you'll have to go through Prime 1 first, but that's fine. Send me a message. We are opening enrollment. I believe 9/9 is the start date. So you have a couple, like a week and a half to kind of figure that out if that's something you want to do.